This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross-country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's finally time to start firing up the grill. From city to shore, Acme is everything you need to prep for this summer season. Download the Acme app to shop for this season's essentials any way you want. Open the Acme app, clip your deals, then order your items online. An experienced Acme associate will carefully select your groceries, bag your order, and bring it right to your car or deliver right to your door. Download the app or visit acmemarkets.com for program details.
Hi there, I am Adam Kirbas, and this is my novel, The Accused. The time stood still. You could not hear the ticking of the clock. Their gods, those people whom they praised, were brought down. And the entire company gazed on what happened. Their faces were in shock and in awe. They did not expect what one strong-hearted man can do. They watched in amazement, because they did never expect that this could ever happen to them. They lived as demigods, above all others, unreachable, and then they were brought to the very ground, brought down to the very soil. Every human walks and has been walking all along. Their world was turned upside down, and it is all me. It was all me, dear jury. This nobody made a dent in the universe. This dot, this person who spoke not as one person, who did not take action just as a single being, no, but as the voice of a beaten society. Stop. This is what this was all about. Stop. No further. We have enough. The people have enough. And they heard the answer. They saw it. A bang. One mighty bang. And their gods were brought down. They did not rush to his help. Those people who admired him, this villain, who praised his genius, did not rush to his help. They did not know what to do. There is no first aid kit for wounded gods. Nothing, just shock and awe. American gods are mortal. I walked out. I walked out of the room of debauchery, of depravity. I was high above the sky, and yet I looked down on human abyss. I looked down what humanity has come to. I saw the core of this disease. And even though I struggled to keep my faith, my good heart, the belief that was put into me, my American courage to do good, protect the innocent, and uphold freedom, I could turn my back on this evil, and I walked out. I walked past faces distorted, in pain, in shock. People at this very moment thought only about themselves, counting their money. Their blessings were gold. They were not counting their blessings. They were not thankful for what they had. No. They were counting what they would lose. This is the Tower of Babel. And they had built it sky high. And it all came crumbling down. I walked out of this dungeon, out of this human imprisonment with dignity. I walked with pride. I tread the earth. The very soul where many before me, good Americans, bled and shed blood for freedom. I walked out of this shallow, of this evil building, walked on the street. The sun was greeting me. It was like a hail. The great deed was done. I had avenged all those people who have lost one loved one. I had avenged my loved one. I had brought justice in just pulling a trigger. Even though it cost me a lot of courage. Because still the echoes of this depraved philosophy was burning in my ears. You did wrong. You wronged the society. You took away their hero. You took away their God. Humans cannot depose their gods. The voice of the devil was still audible. I had got rid of one of his disciples, but the devil himself was very much alive, and he wandered the world of the living. He was still among us, and he was whispering in my ear, "You did not succeed. You did not bring about the change. People will suffer. This was just one deed. You will not stop their suffering. You will not stop the bleeding. You cannot cure the damaged American heart. Don't fool yourself. This deed was nothing." And with all the strength in my heart, with all I could garner, I put a stance against this evil. It was something. It was a beginning. It was the beginning of the end. I brought back the dignity of the American people. one deed. Even if it took me to take the elevator and go up to the very building these people made on God's earth and called it heaven, I took down their false gods. I took down their belief of invincibility. I took down everything they believed in. And a human being pulled the trigger. I did not feel ashamed, dear jury, and to this very day I am proud of what I did. I did not ruin one man's life. I saved millions. I helped people to regain who they are, regain their past, and to be proud again of what it means to be American. I did not leave any one of us behind. No. And I cannot be guilty because this was not a crime. This was the outcry of a beaten heart. This was the outcry against deception, against false gods, false promises, against a lie. This was the outcry against the devil's doing, against his empire. This was strength, determination of a good American heart. I never thought myself as guilty. No, you cannot. I repeat, you cannot see in me a criminal. I am not the villain of this story. I am one who loves too much, who cares too much, who appreciates too much, appreciates the very country we live in, its people. No. I did my duty. I did what I ought to be doing. What many before us, before me, who grew up in pride, would have done readily. I don't want any awards, accolades for doing my duty, for protecting the American people. I don't need that. I didn't do it for awards. I didn't do it for approval, but to protect the nature of good, to protect the home, the light, the beacon of freedom, to protect the shelter of equality, to fight for every life. Because American life does matter. We all are equal. We all are the same. And they all fought for these great American virtues. They were buried, but I excavated them. I brought them back to life. I raised them to its former glory. And all what it took was to pull one trigger. From whom? from whom just an ordinary guy, just an ordinary American, the all-American boy, the all-American man who said, enough, we have enough. And we brought down. This is all what it took to take down a villain and his empire. And believe me, dear jury, I was in awe. I myself did not believe what we could do, what one man can do. And now imagine what many can do. You want to judge me. You want to make me evil, depraved. You even call me insane because I put an end to it. Some even called me stupid because why would I harm something from which others gain wealth? Why would I destroy a place where people shit gold? This is how they called it in their newspapers. He would have destroyed America. He has destroyed America. That's why he should be sentenced with the arm of justice. There is no justice. This is no justice. Deceiving other people. What are you talking about? No. 1,000 times no. I freed our people. And I helped many Americans to swipe away their tears. It is true, dear jury, that you have the means to render a verdict. But this is nothing but a human being, a judgment where we pretend to be God, where we assume, would God think it as evil? Would God scold it? Would God punish it? But in all those assumptions, we forget one thing, that only God himself can judge me. That on Judgment Day, this is where I will stand trial, the first and only trial. There I shall defend myself. There I will justify myself. There I will stand in front of God and will tell him, I fought the disciples of the devil. You, dear jury, you cannot judge me. Your verdict doesn't mean anything to me. It means nothing. For you are just humans. You are fallible. You have political partisanships. You follow ideologies, preferences. You may not even just like my voice, who I am, how I look like. Some in the newspapers even wrote, the so-called all-American man is ugly, is not appealing to the face. despicable, filthy, lonely, insane. Is it? Is it? Am I insane? Am I? Weren't we raised in the notion that justice only lies in the hands of God? Weren't we raised that only God himself can bestow wisdom on us? Weren't we raised that the notion of an equal scale comes from God, and that we humans, as meek and weak we are, we can only assume the divine justice. We can only assume what justice might be, but it will remain just an assumption, not more. It will never become more, dear jury, because the human mind is too narrow-minded. Humans are too shallow. Humans do not have the powers of the Almighty. Humans are not all-knowing. What can a human being judge? What can a human being know? Nothing. He knows only one thing. And this is the cause of his being, where he came from, why he is here where he is. And this was granted from God. I do not fear God's judgment. No. Because my conscience is clear. I saved lives. I brought vengeance to people who did not know how to defend themselves against evil, against wicked people who were robbing their youth, their children, who brought in a disease, who brought in debauchery, who destroyed our grand society. I have a clean conscience, dear jury. I do not fear God's verdict. No, but I do not care about human assumptions. I do not care what humans think about me. I never cared. I never fought for likes, for appeal. I never care if the news media calls me ugly, despicable, depraved, insane, mad. Maybe. What do they know? What do they know? How many of you, dear jury, how many of you can see my heart? How many of you know for what my heart beats? I told you who I am. I told you how I was brought up. I told you what I love and what I fight for. You and you alone, dear jury, can make an image out of it. You have known me now. You know what I did. I didn't do it out of self-love, like the prosecution accused me of, that I would be an insane man who just cared about himself and nothing else. No. Neither am I cold, psychopathic. I have love in my chest. My heart beats in the tune of love, beats for America, beats for its people. And I have shared my love for the American people ever since. No, I do not fear God's judgments. I shall enter heaven. I shall walk through the gates of heaven. I shall not fear the guards of heaven, because I did not do anything wrong. I did not commit a crime. I did not take a life, but stopped lives being taken. I walk this earth with a clean conscience. Actually, I have never felt so great in my life again before. I've never felt so good before. This burden was relieved from my shoulders. This burden, this accusation that I have been watching injustice, that I have witnessed injustice and didn't do anything against it. These accusations are now relieved from my soul. I do not just watch injustice anymore. No, I brought about justice. I brought about the sense into this society. I am no passive eyewitness anymore. I am not a passerby of injustice anymore. I am not someone who does not care anymore. I am not someone who does not love America anymore. No. I showed the world and I showed America how much I love America, how much I love its people. You do not fight for America if you do not love it. You do not defend the beauty of God if you do not believe in Him. You do not fight for a society if you do not care for it. If you do not want future generations to live in prosperity, in peace, and in decency. Freedom is something dire, something invaluable, and it needs to be restored every day. There is nothing like the end of freedom. No. There is nothing like that our ancestors have fought for it and now we can cherish their fruits. No. There is nothing like we have checks and balances to protect us from injustice. No. No. And 1,000 times no. You have to fight and fight every day for your freedom. You have to fight every day for America. You have to uphold every day America. And you have to raze to the ground those castles which are built to hurt America. This is all me, dear jury. This is who I am. This is how we think. This is the American heart.
It's finally time to start firing up the grill. From city to shore, Acme is everything you need to prep for this summer season. Download the Acme app to shop for this season's essentials any way you want. Open the Acme app, clip your deals, then order your items online. An experienced Acme associate will carefully select your groceries, bag your order, and bring it right to your car or deliver right to your door. Download the app or visit acmemarkets.com for program details.